Thank you for joining us on the Post Route Show. Here is your host, W. Earl Kitchings.
Good evening and welcome to the Post Route, the show where we dive deep into conversations with Black quarterbacks, both past and present. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings, and this show is proudly brought to you by Quarter Five Back, the preeminent fraternity for Black quarterbacks and home of the prestigious BIP Memorial Trophy, the only award nationally that honors both the top HBCU quarterback and the top Black quarterback from high schools across America. We are thrilled, as always, to have you join us here tonight on the Post Route. So if you enjoy our show and the content that we bring you, we just ask you to do a few simple things. Support us. Hit the like button if you like what you hear. Subscribe to the channel. Tap the notification bell. And if you're feeling so generous, support us with a donation of any amount. We'll take anything you can do. We do have memberships at $4.40 and $44, depending on what you like. But whatever you feel you are comfortable with, please. All you have to do is submit it to us here on the Post Route. We have a Zelle and a Cash App account that we'll give you later. But join us every Monday night at 7 o'clock live right here on the YouTube channel for more phenomenal conversations. Well, we did have a guest, but because of some scheduling mix-ups, we're going to have to reschedule that guest. So we again apologize. But tonight, in lieu of that, we want to bring you some additional information. Yeah, that's what we like to do. If we don't have that guest, we've got information that we're going to bring to you. So let's get into that. So if I was to ask you how many football leagues there are in the entire world, what would you tell me? 2, 3, 5, 10? Well, before football as we know it here in America got to be so popular, before the NFL started going overseas and putting the game in people's stadiums over there when they had NFL Europe, now that they play several games during the regular season. But there's been an expansion of teams who play American football around the world. We've talked about them before. They're in Europe, they're in Germany, they're in Japan, they're in Mexico. Who else knows where they're going to pop up? But let's look at some of the history of how this American game has transitioned from just the NFL and our brothers to the north in the Canadian Football League, the CFL, to where it has found other ways to become popular and basically ingrain itself to fans. So there used to be a league that happened back in the 70s, early 70s. It was called the World Football League. It lasted for a couple of years. Then it kind of flamed out. They had teams in cities where the NFL was not located. Then subsequently, some years later, they had the USFL. And again, some places where NFL teams were not. So when you talk about a Birmingham, a San Antonio, a Jacksonville at that time, they just weren't in those cities. So this kind of filled that void. And these games would happen in the springtime as we have them now with the UFL. And it fills a void. Let's be honest. For those football junkies who just love football no matter what, or for those cities where there is no team and they want football, it has filled a void for the game of professional football. Let me just say this, though, for outdoors football. But tonight, we want to talk about the brotherhood, as you will, the Kindred League that sprouted up some almost 40 years ago to be played in indoors. And when I say indoors, many of you know what I'm speaking of because we're talking about arena football. The fast-paced, action-filled game that, man, it doesn't take much for the scores to get into the 40s and 50s on any given night these guys are playing. So arena football has again filled a void because this time of year between spring and summer, but primarily in the summertime, you get arena football. And it is fast-paced, action-packed, man. If you've never seen one of those games, never been to one of the arenas to see it, you owe yourself one opportunity to go see it live because it's just nonstop. And while it does have a little flavor of traditional football, it also kind of has some of the flavor of hockey because the game is played within that same confines of where a hockey game would be played. And it has those walls. It doesn't have the high glass partitions that they have in hockey, but they do have the walls. And, that's one of the facets of the game. You're not there's no out of bounds until you're pushed into the wall. Okay. The field is 50 yards long, about half the size of a regular football field, lengthwise and widthwise. And they have these very high goalposts with nets to either side. So if you don't kick it directly through the uprights and you hit one of these nets to the left or right, the opposing team can take it off the net, run it back down the field, and get good field position, even score. So let's look at a little bit of the history before we give you the names of some of the top black quarterbacks who have made their marks in the Arena Football League. So, as is stated, a variation of the gridiron football, but it's played indoors, a hockey rink, 6 to 8 players. And for you young guys, if you really think about it, arena football is really like playing 7-on-7. If you play 7-on-7 football, well, that's just a very slight variation of arena football because arena football, depending on the league, 6 to 8 players on each opposing side. And, it's fast, it's high scoring, and it's easy to set up. You got to have the equipment, but of course, and fans have really, really gotten into it. And some of these teams have created or have had outstanding players come along and transition from the Arena Football League to the NFL. And I think the one guy we really, really, really zero in on when we talk about that one guy who made it was Kurt Warner, who left the Iowa Barnstormers and went on to play for the LA Rams and win them a Super Bowl. Created that greatest game on turf, But Arena Football League was invented in 1981 and patented in 1987, all under the vision of a guy by the name of Jim Foster, a former executive of the NFL and the USFL. And it was trademarked by Gridiron Enterprises and had proprietary format until their patent expired in 2007. Foster had to adopt a field that would fit within smaller playing surfaces found in most arenas. So that's how you came up with this kind of a playing in a hockey rink. 200 feet by 85 feet is the size of the field. It resulted in the field being 50 yards long, 8-yard end zones, and the curvatures around the back of the end zone gives it that hockey feel. And like I said, you bounce off those walls, and until you hit into the walls, you can run into the wall and come off. As long as you're not pushed into it, you can keep going. So that's what arena football is. But when you think about being able to go into, you never have to worry about the weather. And let me tell you, The blasting of the music in there makes it like a rock concert by some teams because it gets very loud. The experience, I think, that the fans have with Arena Football League is similar to what you'll see at minor league baseball games. You know, minor league baseball games has got the best marketing and branding of their sport than any pro teams you ever want to see because they do a lot of crazy things in minor league baseball. They got to keep the fans entertained because it's not like the big leagues, but just the fun of it all. And that's what the fans really enjoy, the fun of the game. So if I had to compare Arena League football to anything, I would compare to minor league baseball because the level of fun that they have is just unbelievable. But again, indoors, loud music, good times, family, truly family oriented. Not saying that the NFL is not or the CFL is not, but it's just something about that close quarter thing. So 1981, Jim Foster had a vision, patented in 1987, and that's when the Arena Football League took effect. Now, there are many leagues that have occurred over that time. Some are still in existence, and we'll share the ones that are in existence with right now, being around for the current time. There's the American Arena League, started in 2017 through 2021, dropped off, and then it came back in 2023 to the present. American Indoor Football, 2025 to the present. Arena Football 1, 2025. Entertainment Football Association, 2025. The Greater Toronto Indoor Football League, started in 2024. Indoor Football League. Indoor Football League started in 2008 till now. The National Arena League started in 2017 till now. The Arena League, 2024 till now. And the United Indoor Football Association got its start in 2016 and operates till now. So as you can see, these leagues have popped up. They are looking for value in having entertainment value in the cities where if there's nothing to do, hey, let's have a Arena Football League team. All we need is an arena. And if you've got an arena that can host a concert, 10, 15,000 seats, you can have arena football, man. Let me tell you, it's just a matter of figuring out some of the logistics and making that application and finding the funding, and boom, you got enough leagues that you can join and make it something of value for your communities on Saturday nights, I guess even maybe on Sunday afternoons. Each team fields 8 players at a time, 21-man active roster. Before 2007, one of the unique features was players played on both offense and defense, except for the quarterback, the kicker, offensive specialist, which might have been a wide receiver or running back combination, or 2 defensive specialists, which would have been defensive backs. But you had running backs who would turn into linebackers. You had offensive linemen who would turn into defensive linemen, but the quarterbacks, came off the field. But that's what the teams are made up of, 8 players on each side, and your roster can only field a total of 21. So you might ask, well, why would I want to play in that league? And that's a very valid question, because if you just got to play football and you just got it in your blood to keep going after college, if nothing else works out, here's an opportunity. And again, it's like minor league baseball. You play there and maybe you're good enough to go to the big show, as they call it. Now, of course, the one thing that Arena does not provide is the same level of compensation. And up until 2008, players were getting about $1,800 per game. They say that's about a quarter of what the Canadian Football League would make per game. In the Arena Football 2, players are getting $250. In the AIFA, Arena Indoor Football Association, in the Indoor Football League, game salaries are $200 per game. Once upon a time, the Arena Football League were paying about $885 per game. In 2012, that number dropped to about $940. Went up to about $940, and it's fluctuated. Starting quarterbacks receive a bonus, presumably about $300. In 2019, the IFL was paying players $200 to $300 per game, $25 for a win if your team won it. So it is varied. 2024, the AFL promised $1,000 per game, but that was rolled back to $250. So it's fluctuated. So you might ask, well, if that's all they're making, what else do they do? Well, they have full-time jobs for the most part. They practice in the evenings and they play on Saturdays. Having seen the former Jacksonville Tomcats in their formative years, going to some of their practice, they practice outdoors but play indoors. Same kind of plays. But again, guys who just want to continue to feed off that energy, that flow, that necessity, I guess, of wanting to play football, this is one option. Just one option. So we talk about, the guys who have gone on to play this game and how well they've done. And again, there have been, since 1987, there have been a lot of guys who've come through the leagues. City to city, team to team. And some of them have had pretty extended careers. Some of them have had short careers. And as we talk about the top black quarterbacks, all-time black quarterbacks in the league, passing-wise, not just the ones who've played, because when you look at time, when you look at the game itself, when you look at, just making it work for you year in and year out, the longevity, as with any sport, can be very brief. And you want to have as long of a career in sports as you can, because it's not a promise to you. And then you want to be as productive as you can. Now, we're going to be featuring the Arena Football League series on our podcast, The Forgotten Quarterbacks, where we talk about black quarterbacks in the Arena League. And we're going to feature one in particular and talk about his time, his fame, and what he did. Went on to become very accomplished in the league. And until, again, let me tell you guys, when I'm looking at researching black quarterbacks, it has been such a joy to just find guys that some of you may know of because them being in your communities. Some we do not know of. But that's where Quarterfied Back in the Post Route filled in the void for you, our viewers and listeners, to know just who some of these guys are. So when you're having conversations, and I do mean conversations, and you want to bring up facts, figures, notoriety, accomplishments, you can use us as that resource, because that's what we are. So the first guy, like I said, and we're going to talk about him. And you know what? I am hoping one day that we will get him to be a guest on our show. So if you're watching this show and you know him, or you've heard of him, or you know somebody that may be aware of where he is and how to reach out to him and get in touch with him, let him know. that the post route wants him to join us on our show and become a part of our brotherhood. Sherdrick Bonner. Sherdrick Bonner played his collegiate football at Cal State University at Northridge. A rare athlete in collegiate sports because during his time between 1987 and 1990, he played 4 sports: football, basketball, volleyball, and he was a high jumper on the track team his senior year. But of the top 25 all-time passers in the Arena Football League industry, that sport, he sets himself apart from the other black quarterbacks who have played. And there are a couple of others who have made their statistics known. But this guy, I mean, when you say you play 14 seasons in arena football between 1993 all the way through 2007, that's a long time. And during that time, he had a phenomenal career. Now, before he got to the Arena League, where he was playing at Division II Cal State Northridge, he completed his 4-year career with 3,533 yards, 18 touchdowns, and he was inducted into the Cal State Northridge Hall of Fame in 1998. Phenomenal quarterback now, Division II guy, but he could spin it. Went on to the Arena Football League in 93 with the Arizona Cardinals and just played like nobody's business. Earned a roster position in his last few years in the NFL on the practice squads with the Atlanta Falcons, the Arizona Cardinals, and the San Diego Chargers. But during his 14 years of playing with or in the Arena Football League, and I'll just leave it at that because that's where it was, 134 victories, 21 playoff wins, and over his time in the AFL, he completed 3,350 passes for 42,246 yards, 855 touchdowns. No, that's not a typo. 855 touchdowns. He had 3 seasons where he passed for over 80 touchdowns, and the most he did was 89 in 2003. So we're going to talk a little bit more about him because we got a whole show for our podcast, The Forgotten Quarterbacks, that we want to talk about Sherdrick Bonner. But let me just talk about a couple of other guys who had success in the league that we're looking forward to bringing them in to the brotherhood also. So Sherdrick was outstanding. You can compare his stats to that of Damon Allen, who threw for 72,000 yards in the Canadian Football League, Warren Moon, who lit it up in both Canada and the NFL. But here are a few other names that we want to share with you who have statistics in arena football. Sherdrick Bonner is the number 5 all-time passer in arena football. Like I said, 42,246 yards, 855 touchdowns, 14 seasons. The next guy, Ray Filyaw, played at Northeast Louisiana State, played in arena football for 11 years, from 2000 to 2010, finished his career with 26,562 yards, 507 touchdowns. These guys are spinning this football in a very fast-paced game. Very fast-paced. I mean, this thing goes back and forth, like nobody business. The next guy, now Phil Yaw is 12th on the all-time list. The next guy, 19th on the all-time list, played from 93 to 2002, another 10-year guy, Fred McNair, the brother of NFL great Steve McNair. Fred is the big brother, and we would have to say Fred taught Steve a lot. But Fred McNair played in the Arena Football League, 19,352 yards, 340 touchdowns. Fred McNair ranked number 19. And then last of the 25 top Arena Football League passers, a guy who played in Canada and had his time in the Arena Football League. So, you could pretty much play both. You can play in Canada, and during the offseason, you can play in the Arena Football League. As long as you stay healthy, what does it matter? At number 23 of the 25, one of our frat brothers, one of our own quarterback brotherhood frat brothers. From 1996 to 2004, Ricky Foggy, one of the Minnesota Golden Gopher greats, played in the Arena Football League. He finished his career with 17,921 yards, 325 touchdowns. Those are the guys in the top 25 all-time list of quarterbacks for the Arena Football League. Those are the top 4 black quarterbacks in arena football history as it stands today. Sherdrick Bonner, Ray Philyaw, Fred McNair, and Ricky Foggy. We salute you gentlemen for having outstanding careers. We salute you for all that you did in your time. Some great, great careers. And just the fact that you played in the league at least a minimum of 8 years. A minimum. And compile these kind of stats, hey, we salute you. If you want to know more about black quarterbacks in the Arena Football League, tune in starting this Sunday to the Forgotten Quarterbacks podcast. 1 o'clock on Sundays is when we bring that to you, and we will be bringing you Arena Football Black Quarterback Legacy. We want to do this now because they're in the heart of their season. They're doing football right now in the Arena Football League, and it goes through the middle summer. So if you live in a city where they have it, go check it out. If you know of a place close to you, go check it out. All we can tell you is these guys and the guys who are playing now have been phenomenal athletes. So that's going to do it for us tonight. But before we get out of here, let me tell you, I got to tell you, if you want to get your merchandise, hey, we are looking at launching our quarterback store within the next 2 weeks. We've got it nailed down to 2 weeks now, so please be on the lookout. But if you just want to get our official quarterback sublimation logo t-shirt, all you got to do is go online to our website, click on our email address, and let us know what size shirt you want, and we'll get it out to you in a matter of 2 weeks because these are custom-made shirts. We have a Zelle account, 904-994-2189, and Cash App at $Q5Back44. You can get that shirt, or you can get the golf shirt. Same design, only comes in black, $55, a little bit more for the extra sizes. If you're a 2X to 4X guy, you're looking at about a $10 extra charge. Then, of course, we have our warm-up available, $89 for a small extra large, 2X to 4X, $109. You can get one of those. And of course, if you are just wanting to add to your library, my book, The Forgotten QBs, get you one of those, add it to your library. Phenomenal book with phenomenal information. You might want to just make sure you get your copy of this book. $35. Click on the icon on our website at quarter5back.com and you can get our book. And then finally, if you just want to become a part of what we're doing, our membership, lifetime membership, $44. That's a bargain. $44 lifetime membership. You'll get your t-shirt, you'll get your decal, and you'll get your certificate. And like I said, check us out every Sunday at 1 o'clock on the Forgotten Quarterbacks podcast. I'm still your host for that, and we look forward to you joining us. So we hope you've enjoyed our show tonight, where we talked about the Arena Football League guys and what their contributions have been. We hope that you will continue to follow us, support us, like us, get your notification bell linked up, and join us every Monday right here on the Post Route. As we say each and every week, go deep and go for the bomb. We'd like to thank our crew. Bring them to you now. Until then, take care, everybody.